Well, there's a huge problem. But one of the other things that I've discovered is that there's some people that are really good at learning and applying, which obviously you're very good at that. But then there's another side to the coin or the equation, and that is the ability to emotionally relate. In other words, do they really sincerely care? You know, there's a saying, people care more about how much you care than how much you know, right?
Absolutely.
And as I normally do, I watch people. I like to try to figure them out. And I discovered that you care because you are all about people. And I believe that's part of your secret weapon is that you actually care about helping people make the right decision.
Well, absolutely, but there's just another equation to that. Yes, you know, we love to learn and we like to apply, but let's take that a step further. And you have to fall in love with teaching.
Oh, yeah, no,
and
right.
When you teach these things, because see, there's some myths, right? In any type of business, there's myths, and network marketing is no exception. There's myths about the industry. Sure. You know, do this or do that, and you know, you're going to be, you know, super wealthy or super rich. I believe that's irresponsible. I believe that you really have to break down those myths. You know, like for example, one of the, you know, my personal favorite is anybody with 2 hours a week are going to be able to do it. You know, things like that. And this is what people walk into, and they hear an opportunity meeting, and they hear all these myths and these things that people say because they just want to get you to sign up and whatever the deal is. But that's not fair for the person. So I believe that there's two things. And because I care about people, I know that these two things, if they can master these two things, they have a good shot at being able to make it. And one of those things is you truly have to make the phone ring. But here's the other part of that. Once that phone rings, your message has to be true on the phone. And so the mastery of getting the phone to ring, which is the marketing side of it, if you could put the other side to it, which is the phone part of it, and being able to effectively communicate your message, that's going to help that person. And so I believe that the best way to help people is not just to provide the opportunity, but teach me what I need to do so that I can do it, and then I can also teach it and pass it along to somebody else.
For the sake of time, I want to address one more myth, since you're talking about myths, okay? And then we got to wrap this thing up. But there's a huge myth out there that you can get in a business on the internet and you're going to be rich just by developing capture pages. And not that they're not important, because they are important. But you said the magic word. You said you got to get the phone to ring, and then you got to convey that message. And I believe that there's a lot of people teaching things on the internet, about the internet, that you're going to become successful or become wealthy without even having to pick up the telephone. Tell me your thought process on that. You can tell mine already.
Absolutely. I mean, don't get me started on that because, you know, I know we only have a little bit of time. But
it's important.
You know, I was doing a training in California on this subject. And I go through a whole training session, and it's called Setting the Appointment That Shows. Because see, setting appointments is easy. Setting an appointment that actually shows up, that's the difficult part. And so that is so basic. Remember, we're going to the basics, right? But it's so basic, but it's so important, because if you can't build past that point, what happens is frustration. Eventually somebody's going to quit. And so on the internet, you have to, you want to differentiate yourself from everybody else. And on the internet, when somebody answers one of these types of ads or lead capture pages, what you tend to see is, we're the number one team, we're the fastest growing team, we're this, we're that, we're going to do this, we're going to give you lead capture, we're going to give you a website, we're going to give you this, we're going to give you leads. That's what you hear. But if what they're hearing on the phone is you, and you're asking, well, Jim, I know that you answered my ad. Tell me a little bit about what's going on right now. And then you start telling me. And then after that, that's going to give me a glimpse of what's really going on. And if I ask enough questions, and they're the right kind of questions that follows that logical, sequential, methodical format that we were discussing earlier, they're not getting that from anybody else. They're only getting that from Jim. They're only getting that from the person that really cares enough to ask the questions. And sometimes the questions are uncomfortable for you to ask, and they're equally as uncomfortable for the caller to answer. But if they do, that's the difference. And that's when you're going to connect at a human level.
When you said, and I know we're going a little bit long here, and I apologize, But when you said getting back to the basics, it's funny. I oftentimes say that, what I'm excited about doing is making what's old, making it new again. And that is going back to the basics and developing those relationships and helping people understand that.
I just want to jump in and just add this little part. The internet, don't get me wrong, I'm not opposed to the internet.
I'm not either.
Because you know how powerful it is. But like you're saying, the more things change, the more they remain the same.
Yes,
so we got to go always back to those basics.
Yeah. And I just, I have this hunger to help people understand that the internet has got to be a part of your life, and you've got to learn how to use it and control it. But you really have to build a bridge to build something that lasts. And the myths that are out there about getting rich, I can tell you some of the top names that I know personally in the industry on the internet, they have lost more money than they've made. They spend a fortune to get leads, and they don't have anything that lasts. And it's because they're all about building a funnel, and those people are going through the funnel, and when they're gone, they've got to go get a whole new group because they're not building anything that lasts, because there's no connection to them.
Absolutely.
And there's so many people that think they can repeat that, and what they don't know is how much money it costs and how many people they actually burn through, and that they've never built a relationship, and there's nothing that lasts.
Absolutely. I agree 100%.
My friend, you do build things that last, and I'm really proud to know you.
Well, pleasure's all mine, Jim. Thank you very much for having me on the show.